Dan Heyman, senior editor at Vicarious magazine, and with me today, along with you fine folks, of course, in the beautiful Niagara region in Ontario, is this. This is the all-new Ontario-built 2026 Toyota RAV4. For 2026, Toyota's very popular crossover, in terms of sales, it's actually the most popular crossover for sale in Canada, will be available only with all-wheel drive and only as a hybrid or a plug-in hybrid electric vehicle. For now, all we have is the hybrid. The PHEV comes a little bit later. Stay tuned for a video on that one as well. But this here is the hybrid. This is the limited spec. This is one of the higher end versions of the RAV4. There are 11 trims going into 2026, by the way. You've got a body colored grille. You've got this great red paint, the Hammerhead front end, which is kind of in keeping with the rest of the Toyota lineup. You've got these great two-tone 18-inch wheels. You've got the roof rails, contrast color mirrors. It's a very interesting looking vehicle, much more unique looking than previously. It wasn't, the last gen RAV4 actually wasn't too bad. It was a little more on the chunky kind of burly side though. This one here is a little more live, a little smoother, a little more subtly muscular, I would say. And I think it works rather well. There are some new colors for 2026. There's some new trims, including a off-road spec Woodland version. And if you're talking about the PHEV, the sporty GR Sport version as well. We'll talk more about that one later on in this video. But this here is part of the core lineup, which is one of the three kind of pillars in the RAV4 world for 2026. The core, it starts as a core, and this is now the limited trim on top of the core. We don't have pricing just yet, but it's a very cool looking thing. I'm looking forward to driving it though, so let's get to it. Okay, folks, so here we are now at the wheel of the 2026 Toyota RAV4. This is the limited trim. It's going to be near the top of the trim when it comes to the hybrid. 236 horsepower from two electric motors plus a 2.5 liter four-cylinder, naturally aspirated four-cylinder. It's got a 100 kilowatt motor at the front and a 40 kilowatt motor at the back for a combined, like I said, 236 horsepower, which is fine. It's fine for the compact crossover segment. That is about right. You're going to get closer to 300 horsepower when you get to the PHEV level, when that comes a little bit later. You've got Woodland, which is like the more off-roady kind of one, and you've got GR Sport, which is Gazoo Racing Sports. The first time we've seen a GR Sport model in Canada, or in North America actually. We've seen GR before, but not GR Sport. The GR Sport line is kind of like a light version of the GR line. We've seen it in Europe and Japan already, but the GR Sport is only going to be available as a plug-in hybrid, so we don't have it here. So you've got core, GR Sport, and Woodland. This starts life as core, but now brings us to limited. Limited gets you the larger central display, which measures in at 12.9 inches. The base model of the RAV4 gets a 10.5 inch display, which is up, I believe, from 8 inches on the older model, so bigger all around in that way, plus a 12.3 inch gauge cluster. That's standard on all RAV4s for 2026. Also added to the limited, digital rear view mirror. So you flip what is usually the dimmer switch, that becomes now a digital display, which I like. That way, if you've got tall people sitting behind you or a tall load back there, your view out back isn't blocked because the camera's on the outside of the vehicle. Very cool. And I've also got, for the first time ever in a Toyota, I've got like a shift-by-wire system with like a toss, a little bit like a Braun Razor or what you might see in a Porsche 911, but that's what they've got now to lower the clutter in here. Other models have a standard gear lever, like the Woodland, for example, has a standard gear lever. This one has this toggle and a shift-by-wire system. So that's kind of the layout on here, and I love the storage. I've got a nice deep storage bin here that isn't going to get used by your device for wireless charging, because your wireless charger is actually up here. So you can have your device here, and there's actually two wireless chargers in this one. That's an option. They can both be used concurrently. Pretty good. Wireless charger here, storage bin down here, and you've got even more storage in front of you right here, which is great. I love storage in my vehicle. On top of that, the central bin can be opened either by the driver or by the passenger, or if you really want, you can flip up the lid, remove it, put it back on to give you like an extra tray to, you know, store your Timbits on or what have you. So that's a pretty cool thing. Toyota knows they're doing when it comes to storage. If you've ever driven a Sienna, which I have, it feels like you could fit 15 families worth of camping gear in there. It's not quite as extreme here, but the storage they do have on hand is good. Back seat is fine. It's got a pretty tall roof. The seats, I believe, are mounted a little lower down than they used to be, so there's a little more headroom for taller people. There isn't that much more overall occupant space in the RAV4 now than there used to be. The wheelbase of the RAV4 is the same as it used to be. The width is the same, unless you're talking about the Woodland or the GR model. Those two have wider tracks. But this one here, the width's the same as before, length, wheelbase, all of that. So the space inside isn't hugely different. Behind the rear seats, you've got 1,070 liters of storage. They haven't given us figures if you flip down the 60-40 split folding rear seat, but that'll go up to closer to 2,000 once you do that. And the way they've been able to achieve that amount of cargo space is, no matter whether you get the PHEV or the HEV version, it doesn't affect the cargo space. They've changed the positioning of the EV battery, which, by the way, is a smaller battery. Even though it's more powerful, it's smaller than it used to be. So they can package it much better, and it doesn't affect rear cargo area like it used to. That's pretty neat. You've also got Softex synthetic leather seating as opposed to cloth on other models. You've got 9-speaker JBL audio. The standard car comes with 6 speakers, and it's not by JBL. So yeah, lots of nice features here on limited spec, which is kind of top end. It shares the top end laurels of the XSE version. That's kind of the more sporty and hip top end model. This is the more laid back, luxurious top end model. The GR Sport, when we start seeing the PHEV ones, that's going to be the highest one. Again, we don't have pricing yet, but I'm fairly sure that's going to be the most expensive one. But these two kind of share the pedestal for top spec in the standard core Toyota RAV4 line. Also, some really neat tech. I don't love talking about tech. It's not that exciting, but this has a very interesting adaptive cruise control that not only will it keep you in the lane and all that kind of stuff, but what this does is it also looks at the car ahead of you, and depending on your speed and I guess the conditions outside, I'm not really sure how they track all that, it'll keep you kind of in the slipstream of the car ahead of you, like a NASCAR, to give you more efficient progress. It's an eco addition to the adaptive cruise control system, which is pretty neat. That's not something I've ever seen before when it comes to ACC, so that's really, really cool stuff. On the exterior, as we talked about before, you've got those larger wheels, some different colors. The wheels look good, but I've also driven both the entry-level LE model with 17-inch wheels on it during this drive, and I've driven the Woodland. They both ride a little softer than this one does. Speaking of the Woodland, it looks different than the other ones. It's got different wheels and tires, more off-road spec, plastic cladding, rigid fog lights as well. And inside, it's got special colors, and it's got kind of this red accent, kind of corally red accent trim, maybe a bit copper. Really, really nice. I wonder if Woodland is becoming kind of more of a line at Toyota. Think of what Subaru's doing with Wilderness, and they said that, the Woodland is kind of taking over from the previous gen's Trail version of the RAV4. The Woodland is more of a model unto itself, whereas the Trail was kind of a trim piece for the XSE RAV4 previously. So Woodland's kind of little more spec now than it was previous. Power-wise, it's smooth. It's got an eCVT, so it is a CVT transmission. No manual shifting of any kind. Probably not a huge deal. I don't know how many people are driving a RAV4. The GR one, I believe, does have paddle shifters. I don't know how many people are driving a standard RAV4 really care about paddle shifters, so you don't have that on here, and that's okay. But even with the larger wheels, the ride is still pretty good, and it's quiet. They've worked really hard for this iteration of this generation of the RAV4. It's the 6th generation, if you're asking. They've worked really hard with the 6th gen RAV4 to make it quieter on the road. Lower the wind noise, lower the road noise, over the wing mirrors, not as much, through the floorboards, not as much. They've covered, they say, about 90% of the floor now has sound deadening material built into it, so it's much quieter. I'm not having to speak too loudly over the noise. I really do appreciate that. They've also added more stiffness. They've changed the suspension mounting, both front and back. They've changed some of the body panels. They've gone back to a steel tailgate. It's not plastic anymore, so they've added some more firmness that way, a little more torsional rigidity that way. I think it's something like 10% stiffer torsionally or something along those lines, and that all contributes to better handling and a better ride as well. which, when you're talking about the RAV4, those are important aspects of this vehicle. That is the kind of thing people are expecting when they're buying a Toyota RAV4. They want space inside for them, their kids, and their wares. They want a smooth ride, and they want fuel efficiency. I'll put the claimed fuel economy figures on the screen right here in just a minute, but they're good. Every RAV4 sold in Canada in 2026 will be all-wheel drive, and it will be either a hybrid or a PHEV. So the XSE is the only one you can get with either the PHEV or the HEV, and the PHEV is pretty interesting in that they're claiming 80 kilometers of range for that thing, which is, I don't think any other plug-in hybrid electric vehicles on the market today, not EVs, PHEVs, make that much EV range. I don't know how many do, and not only that, you'll be, with the tech package on the XSE, you'll be able to use DC fast charging. There's no NACS, no NACS. NACS is not required right now for PHEVs. That's an EV only thing right now, but you do get DC fast charging option on the XSE with the tech package. So that's nice to have, which will charge the car fully in something like 25 minutes, maybe even less than that. I mean, do what you want with claimed OEM figures when it comes to charging. There's so much variance there, but it's still nice to know that you have that ability. You can feel the solidity with which this vehicle moves forward. And even if you're not looking for that in your car, as I am, as I evaluate this vehicle, even if you're not looking for that from your car, you will feel it. You will feel it subconsciously, and I think that's pretty cool. And that's a tough kind of trick to pull, to tap into a driver's or a passenger's subconscious to get them to feel how much tuning and work has gone into giving a better ride for this iteration. But I think Toyota's done it with this RAV4. A very solid feeling vehicle with the good sound system, the nice big display, which also offers a nice big backup cam with 360 degree if you want that. There is a lot of good equipment here, but they haven't gone full, you know, kind of shishi with this. You still get the chunky drive mode and EV mode button here. EV mode button basically overrides the computers and tells them to keep the vehicle in EV mode for a longer period of time. I've tried it in so many Toyotas over the years, Toyota hybrids over the years. I've never found it to be that useful, but anyway. And you've got your trail and snow for your all-wheel drive system here as well. Also a kind of a 4Runner-like chunky button. You've got USB-C charging, 2 of them up here. Plus you've got wireless charging, as mentioned before, and wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which is neat. You've got hill descent control. You've got a button for your camera if you want to activate your parking cam, which also offers a see-through view, so you can see through the vehicle, what's going on below you. I think that's pretty cool if you want to activate that on your own. And they're all here. You don't have to search through. As nice as this display is, I don't want to have to search through it to find my camera, to find my hill descent control system. Not that that is not something you usually have to find from these displays, your hill descent control system, but the fact that I don't have to search through that and it's all here, easy to reach when driving, I am a big fan of that. The RAV4 sells like crazy. They sold something like 14 million of these worldwide since it first arrived in 93, 94 or something like that. In Canada, they've sold almost 1 million since it first arrived in Canada, which I believe was in 96, 97. So this is a hugely popular vehicle. It's one they really got to get right. It's such a big seller. It is the biggest selling compact crossover in Canada. Vastly outselling the next one up, which I think is the Honda CR-V, by I think in and around 20,000 units in 2024. So this is a really high selling vehicle, one they want to make sure they get right and they get the core, pardon the pun, of it down. And I think with the ride, with the tech on hand, with the space inside, and now with that awesome styling, I really think they've done a good job with this. And I was looking forward to driving it when you guys first saw me introducing it from the Toyota Plano, Texas headquarters a couple of months ago. I was looking forward to driving it then, and I have not been disappointed now. This has acquitted itself really, really well now that I've had a chance to drive it. So anyway, thank you for tuning in to this quick look at the 2026 Toyota RAV4 Hybrid. For Vicarious Magazine, I'm senior editor Dan Heyman. Have a look at our website, vicariousmag.com, for more content on crossovers like this, on luxury vehicles, motorcycles as well. Have a look at our emotion section for the answers to your most pertinent EV and EV mobility questions, as well as road tests of EVs, HEVs like this, PHEVs, and so on. And of course, course, keep it locked to the Vicarious Magazine YouTube channel. Always fun new stuff going up there. So thanks again for tuning into this video, folks. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you soon.